I want you to imagine hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago, how simple life would have been. You're a fisherman. You wake up next to your wife and you see the most beautiful sunrise. You go out into the boat or maybe to the dock and you fish there in a flow state. Every now and then your mind wanders, but to something kind of pleasant. You're thinking about life and some deep, like, philosophical thing that means a lot to you, maybe religion and God. And you catch a bunch of fish, which means that you and your family will eat today. You go back home, you hand the fish over to your beautiful feminine wife. She cooks it, you all eat it. Flow, love, presence, amazing. Now I want you to imagine yourself as the same fisherman, but now going through the Industrial Revolution. The factories have been built. There's pollution everywhere. The fish aren't here anymore. You try and you try and you try. It's been 2 days. You haven't brought back any fish. You need to beg now. You need to beg to be able to feed your family. The skill that you've been leveling up doesn't work anymore. And your family are hungry. There's work in the factory. And so you go. You split up the family. You go far away into the cities where the factories are. And you're going to go work hard so that you can send money back to your family. You go there into these grey, dark, soulless buildings. Before regulations of work and health standards were made, before the 40-hour week was a thing and you were expected to literally work more like 14 to 16 hours a day. You work next to people that you don't like, for a boss that you don't like, for a company that means nothing to you, so that you can go home and use the money that you've made to buy a fish. Obviously, this is an exaggeration of the transition here, but there's a lot of people in the world whose experience of work is exactly like this poor fisherman's. When you look around at most people in the modern day, it feels like we should have been that fisherman, but who is now placed into work that he dislikes. So it doesn't feel like a surprise when you realize that most people are actually quite unhappy with their lives. And to understand why that's the case, when you think about how crazy that is, most people are actually unhappy. Why? Because we don't acknowledge how the mind works. When you wake up and you go to the bathroom first thing in the morning and you brush your teeth, that was only 5 minutes long. But you got 100 negative, upsetting thoughts, didn't you? You go and eat something, but you're not really focused on the food. You're thinking about high school. You're thinking about that person. You're thinking about your boss. You're thinking about the fact that you hate your life, that you reset your nofap streak, that you're lonely, that you don't have a girlfriend. That, that girl that you were messaging has not replied and now you're feeling anxious about it. A wandering mind is an unhappy mind. And most of us spend all of our time with a mind that's thinking about high school, remembering memories, and just all round just regurgitating negative, hateful, horrible thoughts. What's the cure to this? Focusing. Working. Online, you've probably seen this. There's so many people who are anti-work these days. People, really seem to hate the idea of their jobs and work. And you know what's interesting? Still, people in work are always the happiest. When there's studies done, the same kind of modern day study where they send a notification to their phone to see how happy they are and what they're currently doing. Still to this day, people are in more flow states in work than they are in their leisure time. So, in your free time, all of us want more free time, right? In our free time is when we are actually the most depressed because our mind has nothing to focus on. There's an entrepreneur that I really like that I've learned a lot from. His name's Alex Becker. And when I was learning from him in my early days of business, he kept on saying the same thing where he said, the material success won't make you happy. The happiest you'll ever be is when you can get to work hard on a project that means a lot to you. And it sounded like this sort of woo-woo BS, but I'm beginning to understand it a lot more. If your mind is not focused on a task that means a lot to you, you will experience symptoms of depression. This includes in the free time that we all value so much. We would love to take an extra day off work. For the people who work in a job they don't like, they'd love to have more time off work. They're actually less happy in that time off because no matter what, your mind needs something to do. The father who works super hard, but then he comes home and he sits on the couch and he literally just drinks alcohol and he watches TV all day. That's the worst part of his day, even though that's the part of his day that he desires the most. Our perception of work and of free time is totally destroyed. We probably shouldn't have that much free time. We should have the ability to manage our time, but we should not be sat here doing nothing, because that's when our brain just goes to these irrelevant negative thoughts. Instead, you want to know like the best way to live? We should have more work. We should have more opportunities to get into this deep workflow. Now, you might feel upset and angry at that, and I can imagine a lot of people who work like normal jobs hating me for saying this. But the truth is, this is the time when you're genuinely going to be the happiest, even though you think it's going to be at home when you're scrolling on your phone. We need to destroy this anti-work culture. Understand that, yeah, a lot of jobs are absolutely trash and we should try to get out of them. But we should understand that work and doing things and putting your mind to focus is fantastic. Sitting around wanting idle time, leisure time, free time, and not doing anything. You know, a lot of young entrepreneurs' desire is like to try and make a lot of money so that they can go sit in a beach in Thailand and just kind of like sit there for a while and go, whew, now this is the life with a pina colada, bro. I've done it. It's less fun than just being at home and just working on something that means a lot to you. Your life is only built up of the experience that your mind perceives. And so if the experience is boring, your mind's automatically going to start just wandering, and a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. No matter if you're sat on the beach in Thailand or the cafe, I've done it all and I'm telling you from that side. But when your mind is focused on a task, here you are sat at your computer and you can really get into a flow state there for hours a day. You can't help but not be like super happy and focused, and there's no little demons in your mind. That's what we should strive for. But the problem comes because we're so externally focused. We've been sold this idea that materialism will be the cure to all of our pains and unhappiness from the moment we were born, especially if you've lived in Western countries, even though this is also very prevalent in like India, Pakistan, and the Eastern countries as well now. Most of us believe that this unhappiness and boredom feeling that we feel every day will be cured if we achieve some kind of external material success. If we, for example, get to 10,000 subscribers, if we make this much money in our business, if we get this many followers, if we buy the car, the house, the watch, all these things. Now, more and more people are beginning to wake up and realize that these things won't make you happy, because our desire for the material success changes what we do for like the flow state activity today. Let's say, for example, your natural 10 out of 10 flow state activity that would literally bring like the most joy and happiness to your life is teaching. But that doesn't bring much material success, right? Teaching doesn't pay that much, right? And so you start to chase the material success. And so to get the money, all the fancy stuff that you want, you change the daily task that you're doing. And then before you know it, you're spending your time doing some business that you hate, or, you know, like working some high level career. You wanted to become a teacher, but your parents convinced you to get into engineering or into finance or something. And here you are spending all of your actual time, the most valuable thing there is, just because external validation might come. There's status, there's the prestige, there's the extra money. But then those things don't change your life. They don't improve your life. And mental health research proves this. There's a free online course that changed my life forever. It's called The Science of Wellbeing. If you just search it on Google, you can go and find it. It's a very good online course made by Yale University. And they break down like the real studies to show what actually makes someone happy. And it is not what you have dedicated your life to. You're going to start coping and disagreeing with this. Good grades don't make you happy. A high-paying job doesn't make you happy. Even the body, like the body transformation doesn't even make you happy. The watch, the fancy car, like any of these things don't actually improve your mental well-being. You might think that they do, because in the research that I've seen, what's very interesting is that we genuinely perceive a happiness boost when we decide to like go and, you know, increase our grades or to buy the thing. We think it's going to make us happy. But when we actually get the good grades, when we actually buy the car, our happiness does not change at all. Usually there's a little bit of a dip, actually. The things that make you happy, you want to know what they are? It's the softer things that sound so uncool. It's mindfulness, it's good sleep, good diet, it's social connection, kindness, and flow state. Don't focus on the material success that the modern world is trying to convince you is important, of getting more likes on Instagram, because you can go and find someone who's achieved everything that you want and they'll literally look to you like normal. Like, how badly do you want 2 million subscribers? I've got it. It changes nothing in your life. If my day was filled up of tasks that I didn't like because I had this many subscribers, I would genuinely have a worse life now than 2 years ago when I had none. Every millionaire, every guy who's made money, who's actually made money and not lying about it, will tell you the same thing. It's like you wake up and life's just exactly the same. Nothing has changed, but just what you spend your time